started with our practice this morning. Pull up just a gentle yoga practice. A little bit of vinyasa, a little bit of movement, a little bit of stretching, and it's yoga. So a whole lot of breathing. So let's start with a nice big breath. Just find a huge inhale. Start to fill the lungs so much more than you regularly do. And take that exhale, start to slowly let it go. And let those shoulders drop back and down. Take a little tuck in the chin. Finding that position to start off in. Maybe it's seated, the legs crossed, or the legs extended. Maybe it's laying down, nicely reclined, feeling the connection with the spine, with the floor. Wherever you are, start to find that position that you can sense into the body, building that awareness. Starting to notice into the nooks and crannies. Maybe you notice into the nooks and crannies of the physical body, checking in with what's tight or sore, a little overworked. Maybe that feels good and open, feels at ease. Maybe check into the nooks and crannies of how you're doing, whatever that means to you. Checking in with the mind, the attitude, the thoughts you have. Checking in with the heart, the feelings, those vibes. Letting your practice be a little more holistic. Letting it be more than just a physical thing. It can be, if you wanted, it could simply just be lunges and movement, and stretching. That's part of the beauty of yoga. There's the flip side. If you want it to become more than that, if you want it to become holistic, healing through so much deeper, getting into the thoughts, the heart, starting to appreciate yourself, give yourself what you need. It's not just about doing 10 reps of something and then moving on to the next exercise. It's how does rep 1 through 10 feel? Do you need it to be harder, more intense? Can you adjust it? Do you need to soften? Reminds me of when I did my first or second yoga challenge, tried to do yoga every day. I found that I started to have a scarcity mindset of my energy, that I wouldn't have enough energy for tomorrow's practice. So while I was practicing on that day, I'd hold back, hoard a little bit of energy, keeping it all within. And then I'd never be satisfied with my practice because I know I could do more and I wanted to. I didn't quite get that burn, that sweat, whatever I was looking for out of it. And so becoming aware of those little things and what else in my life do I do that with? Where else do I hold back out of fear of what tomorrow brings? Starting to release that fear. Recognizing the power of the moment. And truly being in it, knowing and trusting your body that it'll have enough for the future moments. So as you're scanning through, and even if you observe stuff that might be negative or tight or sore, trust your body. Trust that you'll have enough to get through. Taking that balance, pushing yourself, and finding ease as well. Connecting a little deeper now with the breath. Starting to really notice the rise and fall. The inhale, the creating of space, the maybe getting a little bit taller, the breathing into the diaphragm, the rise of the abdomen area. And then the fall, the draw back in, everything coming back in, all cozy and cocooned. That big breath in. The breath out. Letting it be full, but also letting it be natural. using this awareness, set an intention. Another beautiful part about our yoga practice. And just using a little word or phrase to help guide us. Maybe it's an encouragement, or maybe it's more like a goal. Maybe it's anything else, a little life mantra, something you're trying to speak over your day. Even a dedication. We'll seal it in with another big breath in, finding more of that max now. That fullest breath in that you could possibly take. Really feel that inhale press against the lungs, into the diaphragm, and take a slow exhale. Be slow to release that, feeling everything draw in, that slow release, that softening through the body as you let it all out. Beautiful. Starting to wake up the body, getting little wiggles through the fingers, a little roll. The wrists, the ankles, the shoulders. You find a little neck movement, just starting to awaken, sense it into different parts of the body. And if you started out in a seated position, let's make our way down onto our back. Just rolling things back and down. Let's take a few sips of coffee, the life juice. I'm going to start with my knees bent, but you can have them extended long. If we just start with a nice good morning stretch, we'll just reach those arms up overhead. If you got the legs extended long, maybe you point through the toes, finding that length through the spine. See if you can give those little jelly discs between all of your vertebrae a little bit of more space as they kind of slurp back in. Nice and reaching so tall. Take that exhale. Just let the arms relax overhead, little bend to the elbows. And feel more of the spine connect back down. I'll take one more good morning stretch, feeling it through the arms, the underarms, through the rib cage. Feeling that torso reach, and extending those legs now. Maybe finding that pull through the hip, through the knees, the ankles, pointing through all the toes. Beautiful. Take that exhale, the body relax and soften, and maybe you slowly start to bring the knees in towards the chest. A gentle rock from side to side, giving that low back a little massage. This also helps us become aware of that low back spine. Feel how it's ever so slightly engaged as it presses into the mat. Maybe you notice that more through the core as everything tucks in. A little tuck of the tailbone, and a little tuck of the chin. I'm finding a little bit more length through the back of the neck. Maybe you feel that massage over the shoulders. We'll find some stillness here, keeping the hands on the knees. Let's wake up into the hips, just starting to draw some little circles with the knees in opposite directions. Finding that little bit of movement. Our largest bone in the body is our femur bone, this nice thigh bone here that goes from the knee and then into that hip socket. It's also one of the strongest bones in the body, hardest bone to break. Can you feel that rotation of it in that hip socket? Starting to become a little more aware. Maybe bring those circles even bigger. Starting to feel that edge of rotation all the way around. Take a moment as you rotate the knees and notice what the feet are doing. Mine kind of come together as I draw the knees open. And then they come apart as I push the knees back. And if you want just a little extra body awareness, and keep the knees in line with the feet, or the feet in line with the knees. As you rotate around, that keeps that bone a little bit straighter so it doesn't rotate open. Does that make it harder? And where does it make it harder? Everyone's hips are a little bit different. So maybe that makes it easier in certain areas and harder in others. You can go back. We'll do circles the other way now. Just a fun thing to notice. Maybe let those feet really encourage that bit of movement. Feeling those full rotations. So good. And then coming to stillness. Nice. We'll hug those knees in nice and tight towards the body, really creating a little bit of compression against that abdomen. If you want a little more here, take an inhale, draw the crown of the head taller first, and on that exhale, press into the shoulder blades, lift the head up off the ground. And then maybe you'll roll a little bit more up, lifting the shoulders up off the ground, feeling that nice squeeze in, getting those upper vertebrae off, nice little tiny ball. And take that exhale, roll down nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. Plant the head down, and plant the feet down, pressing into the feet, and right away lifting the hips up off the ground. Maybe reaching those fingertips towards the heels, keeping the knees in line so they're not splitting open. And find that strength through the feet. Press the hips up a little bit higher, rolling higher onto the vertebrae. Maybe you just feel those shoulders pressing down. Connecting with the breath here, take an inhale. Take an exhale, set things nice and strong. Feel the entirety of the foot pressing in that outer edge. Beautiful. Feel a little squeeze through the glutes and activate into the arms by pressing the shoulders down, the palms of the hands down, and even the elbows down. Feel that whole connection. Beautiful. We'll take an exhale, nice and slowly roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. And an exhale will be the last thing to touch. Take a little windshield wiper, dropping the knees either gently or fully from side to help release. Beautiful. Coming back to stillness, planting those feet down. Maybe walk those heels in a little closer towards the sits bones down. Taking that inhale to find the length through the spine, and that exhale to press into the feet. Option to stay a little bit lower here if you would prefer, just to be a couple of inches up off the ground, or to find a little bit more strength through the legs and through the hips. You can always adjust as you need to. Bring the palms facing up here. We'll connect movement with the breath, warming up through the arms and the shoulders. So feeling those shoulder blades be really stable. They're not wobbling from side to side when the feet are engaged. We'll take an inhale and sweep those arms up overhead. Maybe you just come to T if that feels good and you want to stop there. Maybe you really start to reach those arms all the way up overhead. Take a nice little stretch, reaching up, taking that pause in the breath. And on the exhale, start to bring the hands back alongside the body, dropping them back down. Taking a little pause here, pressing the fingertips down towards the feet. And releasing, taking that breath, that inhale, reaching it up. Beautiful. Noticing the 4 parts of the breath here and trying to honor each one of them. So you have the inhale, the exhale, the parts we're very familiar with, but starting to notice those little pauses that happen in between, taking that little moment to deepen, to lengthen, not only in those pauses, but the body itself as well. Beautiful. As you move at your own pace with your own breath, we'll do roughly 10 depending on the rate that you're breathing at. So I think I got 4 down or 5. It's hard to talk and count. And do the motions as well, but start to also notice the legs. Are those knees starting to fall open? Is the body starting to fatigue? Maybe roll down a few more vertebrae, having those hips maybe just touch the top of the mat. Or maybe you press up and find a little bit more strength, engaging through the legs a little bit more. Letting this truly be your own practice. Taking exactly what you need. Maybe the hands slide across the floor. Maybe they float across the floor. I like feeling the connection of the hands, always touching. Excellent. Taking just a few more here. Letting those legs be strong. Remembering to breathe with the movement to the best that you can. Beautiful. Taking one more wherever you're at. Taking a nice reach and stretch. Really feeling into it. And drawing things, the hands back alongside the body. Maybe flip the palms down and lower down nice and softly. Excellent. Option to windshield wiper or hug the knees into the chest, taking whichever way you prefer to release that. Maybe take a little of each. Always sounds good. Finding that stillness. We'll hug the right knee in towards the chest and the left leg long. Maybe just walk the foot out a little bit further or extend it completely. Just starting to feel into that right hip, into the glute a little bit, relaxing through the arms and the shoulders. Maybe find a little movement here, rocking the knee from side to side. Really working lots with those hips today. They'll call it hips and flow. So we'll start to roll onto that left side, letting it become into a twist. So holding on to the right knee with left hand, right arm reaches out, and then you roll onto the left side. Maybe it's just a little bit of a twist, maybe you really deepen, rolling on as much or as little as you would like. Option to gaze off towards the right. Taking just a few breaths here. If you want a little more, you can lengthen through that right leg. And adding a bend back to the knee. And rolling on to the back. Beautiful. Either planting that right foot down or sending it long as you switch to the other side. Drawing the left knee in, wrapping the hands around, giving it a nice squeeze. Maybe extending the right leg a little bit longer. Starting to notice into that left hip, left glute. Maybe you enjoy the stillness or you find a bit of movement. That little rock from side to side. Relaxing through the jaw, the tops of the shoulders and the shoulder blades. And then coming into that twist, letting that left hand go and rolling on to that right side. Coming into the depth that you want to on this side. Maybe one side to the next is totally different. Maybe they're more similar. Maybe you extend through the left leg. Maybe you gaze off towards the left. Bending back through the knee, heads up, control as you roll onto the back. Giving that knee a nice big squeeze. Send the leg nice and wide. Coming into more of a starfish pose. Find a bit of width between the feet. Reaching those arms like the YMCA. Really stretching out through the fingertips. And stretching out through the toes. Pointing through the toes. Beautiful. Now flex through the feet. Press out through the heels. Excellent. Rounding into tiny ball. Bring the knees and the arms in. Nice big squeeze in. Roll the head and the shoulders back down. Extend the feet up towards the ceiling. Hello, hamstrings. Pressing the heels up. You can still have a gentle bend to the knees, or maybe you work towards lengthening, trying to press those heels, or even adding in the flex of the feet. Maybe you add in a little pulse, trying to swing the feet a little bit more overhead. And then we'll make our way up to seated. Maybe you stay just like this and roll yourself up, or maybe bend the knees, cut the feet, and come on up however you want. Making your way with legs extended long. Finding those sits bones. If you find this challenging, sitting on a block, adding a little bit of height helps open up through the low back and makes it just a little bit easier on the back of the legs, especially in more of the staff pose version of things. Activating through the legs and through the toes, bringing those toes up towards the ceiling. It's not a flex of the foot, more so just an activation. Take an inhale, get nice and tall. Feel those sits bones pressing down, that rooting down to rise up. Start to become aware of that collarbone space, that heart center. Take an inhale, see if you can find a little bit more openness. Take an exhale, relax those shoulders back and down. So good. Working on our postural muscles through the spine as we simply just sit. If you find this really hard, maybe take more of a gentle lean back. Trying to get those shoulders right over the hips. Uses those hip flexors, uses the core, and uses the back. Beautiful. From here, we'll start to add on a twist. We'll take an inhale. We'll find some length through the arms, bring them out wide like a T. On that exhale, really plant the hips down and the feet down so that we don't wiggle through the hips as we rotate. We're not going to go to the right today. I always go to the left, and today we'll mix things up. So keeping openness through the body, keeping an eye on that left leg so it's not kicking forward. Keep drawing that hip back, find that openness. If you want, you can drop the hands down, helping root down to twist a little bit deeper. Feeling that strength through the body. Maybe just stay light on the fingertips, Maybe you just rest the torso a little bit more. And keep drawing that left hip back. Maybe gazing over that back shoulder. Beautiful. Floating the arms back up. Coming back towards center. Nice. Big reach out through those arms. Bring the head up nice and high. As we go now towards the left. Nice twist. Keep an eye on those feet. Keep drawing that hip back. And feel that opposite tension, the pull, the twist happening a little bit deeper. Maybe you drop the fingertips down, staying light just to find some more height and a little bit more depth. Or maybe you rest the shoulders and the torso. Beautiful. Taking one more breath here. Maybe you gaze over that back shoulder. And slowly raising the arms back up and untwisting back towards center. Nice big reach out. Beautiful. Bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet to touch as the knees start to fall open. Feel free to adjust the distance of the heels and the sits bones farther apart for more ease, closer together for more challenge. And take an inhale, find some length here on that exhale. Bow forward, nice flat back here. Coming into a cobbler forward fold. I'm going to pulse mine out today, finding a bit of movement. Hips are extra tight. Did a bunch of stairs yesterday. I'll just work with it. Like I said, letting this be truly your practice. Taking another full breath here. Maybe on the inhale, you lengthen through that spine. On the exhale, you engage through the core and press into the legs as you float the torso back up. Beautiful. Making our way, bring the knees up, and then spinning around into tabletop, planting the hands, and bring the knees. Beautiful. Take a little sway from side to side, pressing the hip out in one direction, really feeling that through IT band, side of the hip. Switching over to the other side. You can hold it a little longer on each side if you want. We'll get a few of these in. Maybe you gaze back at the toes as you press the hip out. And taking one more either side. Maybe sneaking a little sip of coffee. Or tea or water. Eggnog, whatever you're rocking at this time. And we'll come to stillness. We'll simply just tuck the toes under. Try to press into the hands a little bit extra, floating the knees up. Lengthen through the arms, connecting the torso with the thighs. And then lengthen through the legs, coming into your downward dog. Nice connection. Feeling that crease of the hips, setting those hips up nice and tall. Maybe pedal out through the feet, waking up into those calves, into the feet, the back line of the legs. Maybe you feel it through hamstrings and glutes. Beautiful. We'll take one vinyasa or option to hold your downward dog. Moving into that plank position, feel free to drop those knees down. Take that exhale, let the elbows graze the ribs. You lower down. Inhale, nice little back bend. Maybe you really hug those elbows in. Maybe you press up just a touch stronger using those arms and shoulders. And then moving back through your tabletop, tucking those toes, finding that downward dog. Beautiful. Looking towards the top of the mat, taking a big step or a few little steps, finding your forward fold. Maybe you alternate bending between the knees, helping to wake up those hamstrings, those glutes. Taking an inhale, find a halfway lift here, planting the hands above the knees, roll the shoulders back and down, extend the head. Find some length here, let's feel good on the back. Bend those knees, sink the hips down, and we'll press all the way up to standing, reaching it up nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. Releasing the hands down, take a nice inhale, reach out, get a nice stretch here. Let this feel good. Maybe you come to steeple, interlacing the fingers, pulling one arm up a little taller, pulling the other arm up, finding that length. Engage the core. And tuck that tailbone under. Nice and strong. Beautiful. Hands come down towards heart center. And you step that left foot back towards a warrior two. Left toes point towards the long edge of the mat. Right toes point forward. Taking an inhale. Maybe you find a little bit more height. As you exhale, maybe you find a little more depth, bending more through that right knee. Gazing over the right fingertips, finding that nice reach. Imagining that left hip drawing open, drawing back, pressing that right knee open as well. Beautiful. Let's lengthen through that right leg. Kick the hip out, coming into our triangle pose as you reach forward, and then drop the hand down. Left hand can hang out on hip, or can reach up towards the ceiling. Ultimately, legs are still active here. Keep pressing into that right foot. Nice little hamstring stretch, little inner thigh stretch happening here. Sometimes I find this irritates my Achilles a little bit, and I have no idea why, but I found that if I lift my right toes up off the ground, that I enjoy that better. Drawing the ears far from shoulder. Beautiful. Taking that exhale, bending through right knee, floating back up, warrior two. Reaching. Maybe we'll come into humble warrior. That sounds great. Bring the hands back behind you. Interlace, find length. Exhale. Align the shoulders a little more forward, either resting the torso on the leg or just off to the side of the leg, using more strength to keep the torso floating. Bringing the hands up off the back. Getting a nice shoulder stretch. Letting the head dangle here. Release any tension through the body here. Keep pressing into the legs. Maybe you bend a little bit deeper into that right leg. Using the strength of the legs to lift you back up. And start to float all the way up. Take a nice big reach out. Left hand comes towards the right hip. Right hand starts to reach out, coming into reverse warrior. Bending through that right knee. Maybe sliding that left hand down the leg or back behind the back. Gazing up to the ceiling, take a nice inhale, reaching through that right arm a little bit farther, and then exhale, coming back. Beautiful warrior series. Excellent, nice and strong. Really seeing the hands down, and maybe heel toeing that back foot a little bit closer, and then step towards the top of the mat. We'll take a nice inhale, we'll reach up, we'll take an exhale, finding a forward fold, bowing it down. Maybe rest the hands on the legs. Maybe reach for opposite elbows. Taking a few rounds of breath in your forward fold. We'll inhale, finding that halfway lift, pressing in just above the legs, really lengthening through the spine here. Feel the crown of the head reaching forward, then pressing that tailbone back. Beautiful. Bend the knees, sink the hips, and float the body up. Take a nice big reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. Continuing to work with that left side first. We'll step the left foot back and coming in towards a high lunge. Keeping the hips and the shoulders forward, rolling right hip back, pressing the left hip forward, bending through right knee. Maybe you bowed forward a little bit. Try to see if you can bring those shoulders over the hips, lengthening further through that left quad and hip flexor. Beautiful. Let's add in a twist here, maybe staying up high with the shoulders, rotating towards the right, so twisting inwards. And keep drawing that left hip back, pressing that left hip forward. If you want a little more, you can add in that bow and hook the elbow on the knee. Pressing into the hands, bringing those hands align with heart center, rotating that right shoulder open. Beautiful. If you want, you can drop that back knee down or keep it raised. The knee is down, we'll lift the knee, lengthening, coming back towards center. You can inhale, and we'll sweep the arms all the way up. Beautiful. We'll take an exhale, and we'll start to dive into our warrior three, coming into our balanced posture. So kicking that back foot up, Reaching either the arms forward or out towards the side. If this is your warrior three, maybe you have the toe down and just reach the arms out. Maybe work on just hovering the foot. Maybe really bow things down. Aligning the head with the hips. The leg with the foot. You want more challenge, keep rolling that left hip down. Beautiful. And then we'll float all the way up, coming up towards standing here. Take an inhale, take a nice big reach. Take an exhale, find a forward fold. Letting this be your recovery position. Noticing maybe the difference between left leg and right leg. Maybe that right leg feels a little more open. Maybe the left leg does. Maybe they feel pretty balanced. And we'll work through a vinyasa here. Taking an inhale, finding a halfway lift, finding that leg. Bending the knees and planting the hands down. Take a nice big step back, take a downward dog. If you'd rather just take a child's pose, that's a great option too. Rolling into that plank position. Exhale to lower the body down. Inhale to rise up. Maybe taking your full cobra, maybe taking a little up dog. And then rolling back into your downward dog. Either through tabletop or just rolling over the toes, pressing the hips up. Taking 3 breaths here. Find that strength through the arms. Pressing, nodding just to the base of the hands, but use the fingers as well. One more inhale. And an exhale. Looking forward, stepping forward with that non-dominant side. Coming back to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, finding that beautiful length. Exhale to bend the knees, sink the hips down, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Relaxing the shoulders, and pressing into the feet, feeling grounded. Beautiful, releasing the fingertips. Take an inhale, reach up nice and tall, get a nice stretch here. Maybe holding on to opposite hands, either in steeple, pulling the arms up a little bit more. Full engagement through the core. Exhale, bring the hands down. Stepping now that right foot back and coming into that warrior two position. Toes pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Reaching it out. Beautiful. Maybe you sink a little deeper. Maybe you reach out with those arms, gazing over the left fingers. Trying to draw that right shoulder open, trying to draw that right hip open. Pressing the knee back. Beautiful. Remembering to breathe. Excellent. Let's lengthen through that left leg. Kick the hip out towards the right. And reach left hand forward, coming towards that triangle pose. So even if you're up high like this is still a beautiful triangle pose. Maybe you slide the hand down a little more. Keep rotating right shoulder open. Maybe you reach it up. Maybe you slide down even further. Beautiful. Drawing ears far from shoulders. Pressing into the feet. Feeling the whole body be active here. Bending through left knee. Floating back up. Take a nice big reach open. Beautiful. Bring the hands behind the back. Interlacing with that awkward grip. And drawing the hands down. Shoulders aligned forward. As you exhale and bow down. Maybe this is your humble warrior. Maybe you lift the hands up off. Maybe you drop that head down. Connecting with the breath. Releasing tension through the neck. Maybe you bend a little deeper through left leg. Sinking the hips down a little bit further. Pressing into the legs. Let the legs be so strong here. As you float the torso gently back up. Reach those arms out. Beautiful. Maybe heel toeing the back foot in. And stepping towards the top of the mat. Take a nice inhale. We'll reach it up tall. Take an exhale. Find your forward fold. Beautiful. Maybe bend the knees and connect the torso with the legs. Feeling that release on low back.
Maybe wrap the hands behind the legs, feeling anchored and grounded. An option here to lengthen the legs. Releasing the arms, letting them just float and dangle. We'll take an inhale, finding a halfway lift, really lengthening through that spine. Gentle bend to the knees, floating the torso up, nice big reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. Taking another inhale, sweeping it up. Exhale, drawing the hands down. Stepping that right foot back, coming into that high lunge position. And keeping shoulders and hips forward. Rotate left hip back, press right hip forward. Beautiful, lengthening through that back leg. Maybe bring those shoulders up a little bit higher. Maybe bend a little bit deeper. Adding in that twist towards the left. Keep drawing left hip back, press that right hip forward. Option to stay up high, or to bow the things down. Maybe hooking the elbow, pressing strong. Ooh, there's a beautiful sunrise. A little ADD moment for you, getting to look at these wonderful windows. Feel free to drop that back knee down. Beautiful. Drawing the ears far from shoulders. If the knee is down, we'll lift the leg. We'll untwist, coming back up into that nice high lunge. Releasing the hands and starting to dive forward, shifting the weight into that left foot. Maybe your right foot just hops up. And then trying to find your warrior three. Beautiful. Keeping maybe that leg up a little bit higher. Using the core to stabilize the torso. Maybe roll that right hip down. And we'll start to float all the way up to stand. Take a nice inhale, reach up. And an exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands down, step it back, downward dog. Option to take your child pose. Or move through a vinyasa. Rolling into that plank position. Exhale to lower. Inhale to rise. Next exhale, finding downward dog. Taking 3 breaths here. Maybe you pedal out through the feet. Maybe you bend the knees and lengthen the torso. Beautiful. We'll bend the knees, nice and wide, clamping them down. Take a nice wide-legged child pose. Checking in with yourself, remembering that intention. Pressing into the hands, starting to rise up and making your way into a seated position. Feeling into those sits bones, maybe remove the extra little flesh. Taking an inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, relax the shoulders. Beautiful. Fire log or cradle the baby? Right, both good. I'm struggling to decide. I want both. Let's do both. We'll just do both. Why not? Okay, we'll start with the cradle the baby. Extending the left leg. Bring that right knee and plant it down. Oh, little baby leg. You can be your little friend. Activating into that left leg. Float the right leg up. Maybe this is your cradle the baby. You start to notice into that hip. You rock the baby. You go forward and back. Or you work on some external rotation. Holding on either at the bottom of the foot and the knee. Starting to let that knee come open. Beautiful. You can still rock from side to side. Great way to get into that hip joint. Beautiful. Maybe work on bringing that foot up a little bit higher, more in line with the knee. Or you can tuck it in a little bit deeper. Wrapping the one arm. If you can place the foot just above the crease of the elbow, you can really just wrap that arm right around. Same thing with the knee. You come into the little bind, connecting the fingers. Take some movement here. See if you can draw a circle. Or it might be more of a triangle or a janky hexagon. But see if you can find a full rotation all the way around. Finding where you have to stabilize. Feeling into that glute, all of those areas. A little glute grind. Beautiful. Hang out here. And if you're hunching into the shoulders here, let's see if we can open up, rolling those shoulders back and down, lengthening through the crown of the head. Excellent. This is as far as we'll go with that. Just getting the hip prepped for our fire log. We'll start to release the foot and send the leg long. Maybe bounce from the knees, maybe windshield wiper at the feet. Coming into the other side, grabbing that left knee, bringing it in, maybe sitting up nice and tall, activating into those right toes, floating the foot up. Finding a bit of movement here. Maybe reach down for the sole of the foot and the knee, finding where it works. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here. You can tuck things open. Ooh, this side is much tighter today. Whenever I get stressed, my right side tightens up. All right, let's work on that circle. So even if you have the foot down here, you can still work on rotating around in a circle. So finding where that works, finding length through the spine, no hunching here, taking that bow down, rolling it out to the side. Bonus points if you fall over. Just kidding, there's no scoring in yoga. It's not in my yoga. I'm gonna go the other way. And then coming back, just finding that stillness, feeling that pull through the right side. There's also a variation of pigeon. This is almost a seated pigeon. And really, if you just laid down, it'd become a reclined pigeon. The full expression of it though, usually we just do figure four. All right, let's slowly release. Bring that leg back long. Maybe bouncing through the knees. Windshield wipering at the feet. All right, getting ready for our fire log pose. I'm gonna start the slowest possible way into it. If you know where you're going, feel free to just land it and get there and get into your forward folded twists. Otherwise, I'm gonna start with the right knee, or right leg on top of left knee. Working here and connecting the ankle with the knee, step one. If this is where you're at, this is where you simply hang out. Fire log is also known as double pigeon, so just keeping that in mind for intensity level. Other than that, we're gonna start to bend the knee, trying to bring that left ankle underneath the right knee. Wherever she stops. You might have lots of space between knee and ankle. Even looking like this is really normal. Fire log uses lots of external rotation. You might just naturally need to have. I feel like my bones are just kind of made for that. So ideally, working on softening, trying to find openness through that left hip. You get the bottom leg down, and through right hip, to get the left leg down. Feel free to use any blocks or props to support in between. Sometimes once you can feel what that would feel like if they were to stack, that just brings that awareness and helps you go deeper into the pose. And I really like props, but I try to teach without them because I want to assume that anyone has them. So it reminds me to use the body prop. You can stack a fist or a couple of fists underneath wherever. Always trying to lengthen through that spine. We'll open up through the collarbone here. Getting taller, rolling the shoulders back and down. Lift through the heart, almost as if you're back bending. Beautiful. And then take that exhale, either returning to neutral or maybe try a little bow forward. Maybe it's just a tuck, just a tiny little one. Maybe you melt the body down, plant the hands or the forearms down. We'll just take one more breath here. And then we'll start to rise back up. And we'll try to softly release this. Maybe just lean back, plant the hands, and extend bottom leg and top leg. Beautiful. Taking your release, a little windshield wiper, maybe even plant the feet in windshield wiper. Beautiful. Finding length through the legs, and we'll come into the other side, working on sitting all the way up. And grabbing now that left ankle, stacking it on top of right knee. Seeing if that knee will relax down even here. And then bending through right knee, taking maybe a little lean back. You can see that I'm totally leaning back to kick that foot underneath. Stacking your shins as if they were logs in the fire. I feel like this could also be called a box pose. And you're really trying to make a box. You got your shins stacked one on top of the other. You got your thighs nicely in line, so you're not overly open that way either. And then your back. So try to make 90 degrees at every corner. Taking that inhale, finding that nice lift. Maybe even coming into that gentle back bend. And coming either back through neutral or finding that forward fold. Finding that softness. Feeling that hinge at the hips. It'll intensify the sensation. And through probably that top leg through that left side. Taking one more breath here. Starting to rise back up. Sitting nice and tall. And releasing, maybe leaning back and send the legs long. Beautiful. Find what you need to release your hips. I feel like I just need one more cobra pose after that. So bringing the feet in, letting the knees fall open, finding length, maybe holding on, maybe you just simply stay seated up, or maybe you find your forward fold. Beautiful, so good. Trying to bring the knees back up. And then we'll roll down on our mats, rolling things back and down. Feeling the spine connected. Walk the feet a little bit wider, maybe even towards the edges of the mat. Let the knees fall inward. We've done lots of external rotation today, so this is a little internal rotation. You even walk the feet farther away from the sits bones. That just helps the knees. No expectation that knees come to touch though. Letting the body soften and melt, releasing through low back, and seeing through the shoulder blades. Starting to heel, toes, feet back towards center. Excellent. Keeping left foot planted down, start to swing the right leg up towards the ceiling. Maybe you wrap your hands around the back of the leg. Maybe you draw the leg in. This is a great one for a strap as well, lassoing the foot. Helps keep length through the leg. Drawing it a little bit more over the body. Using that left foot, planting it down. Start to slowly release, bending back through right knee, planting that foot down, maybe switching your strap to the other leg. Starting to extend the left foot up in towards the air. You can do this without holding on, but use the more hip flexors. Or if you wrap the hands around or strap the leg, and then you get more into that stretchiness of the hamstring and into the glute, drawing that leg in a little bit closer, just not needing to use that brute force to bring the foot overhead. Pressing into that right side, little tuck in the chin here still. Feeling that loss through the hip, into the glute and hamstring. Let this feel good. Maybe flex through the foot, getting more into the calf. Beautiful. Starting to bend through the knees, planting that foot down. Walking the feet just a touch wider. Take a slow windshield wiper. Dropping knees towards one side. And slowly towards the other side. Coming back up to that nice center line. We'll hug the knees into the chest. Maybe round into one more tiny ball. Release the head and the shoulders back down. Reach through the knees for the feet coming into your happy baby. Holding on to that big toe, ankles, outer edge of the foot, back of the knees. However you like to rock this. Keep a tuck of the chin. Feel the openness through the hips. Maybe take a little rock from side to side. Give that low back a nice little massage. Giving that sacrum a little bit of love. And then we'll open it up for a little freestyle. If there's any other movement you want to take before we settle into Shavasana, finding what that looks like. Maybe there's a specific pose you wanted to do today. Add that in now. Don't hold back. Giving you a few rounds of breath. Find movement in. If you're ready for Shavasana, that's also a great option. Maybe you need more stillness and peace. That also counts. It's not cheating. It's not being lazy. It's listening to your body, listening to your mind, and listening to your heart. If you're doing something specific to one side of the body, try to find that balance and make some time for the second side, starting to transition there. I'm going to soften some of the lighting. As maybe you start to soften down. Starting to find that final pose. You wish to finish things off. If you've got some wall space close by, maybe try legs up the wall. Maybe it's a seated position or just laying down. Starting to connect in with the breath. Connecting in with the body. Letting everything soften, relaxing the jaw, and the forehead and the eyebrows, relaxing the neck and the tops of the shoulders, down through the shoulder blades, each of the arms, just at ease, feeling that gentle pull of gravity, not resisting, but just melting in. Relaxing through each vertebrae in the spine.
rib cage and the abdomen, down to the tailbone and then through the hips. That hip socket and the legs are at ease. The knees are relaxed. Down through the calf, the shins, the ankles, each one of the toes is just resting. Feeling through that sole of the foot and the arch. The awareness running throughout the entirety of the body. Taking just a few breaths. Letting everything melt away. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling the breath roll and move throughout the body. Like waves, the inhale and the exhale. Maybe even noticing those little pauses or spaces between each part of the breath. Letting the breath be full. Remembering that intention you might have set at the beginning of class. If it was just for your practice, start to let it go. Option to think of a new intention for the remainder of your day. Sealing it in with a nice big breath. Inhaling nice and deep. Feel the movement the breath takes as you breathe it in through the diaphragm. Take a nice big exhale as you let it go. And inviting some movement into the body. Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's tiny little movements, maybe they're larger movements. Maybe take a good morning stretch or roll onto your favorite side. Starting to find even more movement. Maybe start to come up towards seated. Maybe take a little twist. Coming to stillness one more time. Letting the hands just rest on the knees, maybe palms down, maybe palms up. Feeling that breath, breathe nice and deep, feel the height through the spine. On that exhale, intentionally roll the shoulders back and press them down. Beautiful, feel that openness, that gentle pull through collarbone. We'll finish class by taking a deep inhale. That exhales, maybe even audibly, anything else you no longer need. Getting ready, fullest breath you can possibly take. Big inhale. And big exhale, let it all out. Bring the hands towards heart center. Position of gratitude. Always trying to finish with a little bit of thankfulness. Thankful for movement, for a fresh day, new opportunities, new chances. May your day be filled with joy. May every step you take be blessed. Namaste.